Social anxiety makes it harder being around people due to the fear of being judged, humiliated, or embarrassed in front of others. The reason I want to discuss this aspect with you is because emotions such as anxiety can dictate and affect everything you do in life. The purpose of this video is to help you overcome this issue so that you can come closer to the life you always wanted by discussing what social anxiety is, what causes it, and how to cure it. Many doctors, psychologists, and psychiatrists would argue that social anxiety is a mental illness, an illness that makes you anxious around people. And that for me couldn't be any further from the truth. From prescribing medication and special treatment to a so-called illness to recommending tons of different useless pills and expensive medical bills, this sort of approach, instead of helping you improve your life, is more likely going to make things worse. Because our current medical healthcare system fails to recognize what social anxiety is, we see more and more people fighting the war with the wrong weapons and failing in making any progress. So what is social anxiety really? At the core of it, anxiety is just a negative emotion, and social anxiety is an emotion which is triggered whenever social evaluation comes into place. In other words, it is the fear of being judged or humiliated by others. It is the constant hassling and worrying about what others are thinking of you. Thus, meeting new people, speaking in public, or attending any large events simply becomes almost impossible since it feels so uncomfortable. People with social anxiety feel unsafe and fearful of not making fools of themselves, and therefore, meeting people in more intimate places or sticking just within their circle of close friends is the safest way. If you are currently experiencing social anxiety or know somebody who does, you can already relate to all these. But how can some people be friends with everybody while others can barely start a conversation? The root cause of this negative emotion is simply the lack of confidence, which was slowly developed in time due to a childhood trauma like bullying, criticism received by others, family conflict, failure, or abuse. Not being confident about yourself is what makes you feel socially anxious. You can think of it as a reflection of your insecurities, because deep down inside, you feel unworthy. Your unconscious mind immediately assumes that others share the same opinions about you as you do. You believe that everything is happening in the outer world, and the best strategy to protect yourself that you come up with is to just simply stay away from people. You see, that might seem like the best strategy to adopt to find peace and happiness, because in the end, it is better to stay away from what hurts you. It's like avoiding fire for not getting burned. But unfortunately, when it comes to social anxiety, this principle cannot be applied. Not knowing how to properly deal with social anxiety can result in even more complex issues. For instance, your social skills are a vital set of abilities for your development. Whether it comes to business, relationships, or school performance, you must know how to deal and interact with people. You cannot be a successful businessman without being able to communicate properly with your clients, customers, or employees. Same as not being able to be an A student without talking in front of the class. As human beings, we are all supposed to live, work, and experience life together. We are very social creatures. Success and happiness in general cannot be achieved without mastering this skill. Other than that, if not treated properly, social anxiety can lead to loneliness, which can then cause other major problems such as depression, negative thoughts, and misery. The bottom line is, if you cannot fix your self-esteem issues, you cannot fully experience the beauty of life, because you'll always be focused on these internal battles. And of course, the list can go on, as these are just a few examples of how social anxiety could impact your life. However, that is not the point of this conversation. What I want to communicate here is that instead of trying to hide the dead body in the closet by avoiding this issue, a much healthier approach would be to consciously work towards improving yourself when it comes to dealing with emotions and self-esteem. And fortunately, there are quite a few methods and practices that you can start right away to do that. So, to cure social anxiety, first of all, you need to stop calling it an illness and to acknowledge it as an emotion. By doing so, we can already eliminate one of the most important factors in dealing with this problem, as now you are clearer about what we are dealing with. You see, Emotions run our life whether we like it or not. No matter what we do, we always swing towards our emotional brain, and we tend to make decisions based on our internal feelings. It is sort of like not being able to leave an abusive relationship, although we know that is the right thing to be done. On the one hand, we know that being in that sort of relationship is wrong, and leaving is the best option. But on the other hand, we are not emotionally strong enough to do it. When it comes to a negative emotion like anxiety, things are the same. You know that this is not what you want in your life, but you are not emotionally strong enough to deal with it. This is why a practice like meditation can be extremely useful. You can think of it as finally taking control back from your emotional brain and not being trapped in that vicious cycle anymore. I cannot recommend this enough, but meditation can be your savior. By implementing this practice in your life, you will learn how to have control over your emotions by not identifying yourself with those negative feelings anymore. It is like going to the gym, only that this time you are training your brain to be stronger. Besides that, another good habit that can help you deal with social anxiety is writing a journal for these purposes only. Many people underestimate the power of having mental clarity, but this is super important, and writing a journal can help you achieve that. Putting your thoughts down on a piece of paper is beneficial because, like meditation, it allows you to observe your emotions. Writing something like, "Today I felt so stressed when I had to speak in front of my coworkers. My palms were all sweaty and my legs were shaking quite bad." That creates awareness over what is happening, and it allows you to see things from another perspective. At that moment, you are no longer identified with the situation as you become the observer, and you start to recognize each emotion you've gone through, and that alone has an enormous potential of curing your anxiety. Now, as discussed earlier, we know that low self-esteem plays a major role when it comes to social anxiety, and there is a lot to talk about regarding this matter. In fact, I am planning to release a video in the future just on this topic, as I personally believe there is so much room to grow for everybody. Anyway, for the purposes of this video, to increase your self-esteem, I'd suggest you start with something very basic, like going to the gym or eating healthier food, for example. The issue with low self-esteem is that deep down inside, you feel unworthy. You feel like everyone else is better than you. Dedicating enough time for becoming good at something and eventually becoming an authority in your field is by far the most efficient way of increasing your esteem issues. You could decide you want to become bigger than your friends and to lift more at the gym, or you could decide you want to be the smartest in your class or be the highest achiever in the office. It doesn't really matter, as long as that is what is going to boost your level of confidence, getting you closer to curing your anxiety. So, this is what social anxiety is and how to cure it. Please click that like button for me if you find this video useful, and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this in the future. If you suffer from social anxiety or know someone who does, this channel is probably the best resource you have when it comes to dealing with those strong negative emotions, as we cover all sorts of life-changing self-help and spirituality topics. Lastly, let me know in the comments down below if more videos dedicated to increasing self-esteem will be useful for you and how you are planning to improve yours. See you on the next video.